As promised, here is another in my Burnout series. Well, I'm calling it a Burnout series, and if you saw my video from last Wednesday, you'll know why. It sounds way more dramatic than it actually is, so don't worry. But if you did miss that video, I will link it up at the end of this one, and of course in the description under the video too, with all the paints and the bits and pieces that I've used today. So you know the score, just click the show more button to see them, or the triangle if you're on mobile. So my title for this piece is Little Butterfly, and it will become clearer at the end why, although you might be able to guess seeing some of these papers. And it kind of fits with that other video as well, because I called that one Big Butterfly, which if you've seen that video you'll know why. Yeah, I have said before that titles aren't really my strength. So this piece starts with a random collage of patterned paper, and after I pick out a few pieces that both catch my eye and I feel like they'll fit in because of the colour scheme as well, I stick them mostly randomly to this piece of paper, but with an eye to the overall balance of the piece. So it is random, but there is a little bit of thought there as well. Does that make sense? Now this is only a play piece, so just like that last one, I grabbed some cheap studio watercolour paper, but it's quite a lightweight paper for watercolour paper, so it will buckle under lots of layers, but you know, I'm not really bothered, it's not a big deal. And I'm not being too careful about how I stick the pieces down. I'm just using a little bit of gel medium over the back rather than doing that whole covering the whole area and going over the top with more gel medium. Again, it doesn't really matter. Really, I'm just going for speed and trying to keep the session nice and fluid and quick so that I can work over the top even if the glue isn't completely dry. A small bit of gesso over the paper just to knock it back a bit. Doesn't need to be a lot. And then some scribble texture with the handle of a brush. And then I think I either let this piece dry naturally whilst I was working on another piece, or I might have helped it along with some drying with a heat tool. It's possible, I can't fully remember now. But either way, I would have left it for a few minutes and come back to it. Now I love the way that paint dries over textured gesso, don't you? Sometimes you get some amazing serendipity bits where you get a little bit of gesso resist going on, and the white forms a lovely contrast with the paint colour. So I add some colour and then leave it a little to its own devices, hoping that I'll get some of that magic. It's really subtle in this piece, so keep an eye out for it in any of the close-ups. It's like a little white highlight around some of that scribbled texture. It's the little things, isn't it? I don't know why I get so excited about things like that, and I'm sure that folks who don't paint probably don't even notice, but I love painted textures, which is why I keep going on about them, and I kind of guess you guys do too. Now the paints I'm using are exactly the same as last time, as this was the same session, and it's a mix of acrylic paint, gouache and acrylic gouache, so a complete painty mix and match. I picked them more for the colour combination than for anything else. Back in with the Stabilo oil pencil, and hands up if you have spotted that little butterfly. You can just about see it through the gesso, so I decided to bring it back to prominence with the pencil. The line details were placed quite randomly, and I wasn't really thinking too much about it except for this first one. For some reason I really wanted to add some line detail to tether that top left-hand block to the main part. Don't know why, it just felt like it needed doing. The other thing that really caught my eye was the word on the printed paper. That seemed to want more prominence too, so I used the pencil over that. And you can't really see because it's out of shot of the camera, but I'm dipping the pencil into my cup of water so that it writes more like an ink. It's a great tip for using with these types of pencils. You could use your Inktense pencils like this as well. In fact, any water-soluble pencil can be used like this. And you saw me do this very same thing when I added the final details to that big butterfly in the other video I keep mentioning. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, you've really got to go and watch that. And hopefully that means this video will make more sense to you as well. The rest of this line detail was really added to just counterbalance that first bit, but I tried not to overthink it and just went with the flow. I have been mostly random with this piece up until now. A few bits of unrandom placement where I've thought about it, but the rest is pretty organic with not too much thinking and just doing. But around about here that kind of changes, and now I start putting more thought into exactly where I want to add the pencil and which of the pattern paper blocks to shade. And the whole thing is just to look for balance to the piece, but I don't want it to be too uniform either, so I choose my shading quite carefully. And what I love about this pencil is that it's super intense, but also pretty forgiving, and you can manipulate it until you get the look you want, so you can keep adding more or you can thin it out with a wash. I've been meaning to do some more pencil videos. People have been asking me for some Inktense pencil videos, also some Prismacolor and Polychromo colouring videos. So let me know what your favourite pencils are at the moment and what you're using them for in the comments. And maybe I'll do a whole pencil series. What do you think? Plus, please do like the video and share it too with anyone that you think will find it useful. And of course, if you aren't already one of my subscribers, please do become one and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Have a super fun and creative Sunday, and I will be back on Wednesday with my next art tips, tricks and techniques video, but I've got to admit, I'm not entirely sure what the subject will be, as my video schedule has gone a little fluid at the moment. I keep trying to get ahead of myself so that I have lots of content all planned out for you, but it's just not working out like that at the moment. So stay tuned, even I don't know what's coming up next. So I look forward to our next arty catch-up. Thanks so much for watching today.